If you've been scrolling through endless spec sheets, watching YouTubers argue about 144Hz versus 240Hz, and still feel stuck on which monitor actually makes sense for your setup, this review should clear that up. I've spent the last few weeks putting the LG 27-inch OLED gaming monitor through the motions you care about: fast-paced shooters, color-critical design work, and the everyday just watching a show moments. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest question most people ask is whether a 480Hz OLED panel is overkill for a typical gaming rig. The answer hinges on two things: the refresh rate you can actually push from your PC or console, and how much you notice the difference in motion clarity. If you're running a high-end RTX 4090 or a PlayStation 5 that can consistently hit 240 frames per second in titles like Call of Duty or Valorant, you'll feel the ultra-smoothness of 480Hz. The monitor's 0.03 milliseconds response time means there's essentially no ghosting, so split-second aiming feels razor-sharp. For people whose hardware tops out at 144 frames per second, the extra headroom won't translate into a noticeable gain, and you might be paying for a feature you never use. Beyond the raw speed, the OLED panel brings a different kind of value. Because each pixel lights itself, blacks are truly black, and the DCI-P 398.5% color gamut makes games like Cyberpunk 2077 look almost cinematic. In my daily use, the HDR True Black 400 mode gave a punchier contrast when watching a Netflix documentary, something you rarely see on a typical LCD gaming monitor. If you also dabble in photo editing or UI design, that color fidelity can shave minutes off your workflow because you're seeing more accurate shades right out of the box. Now, let's talk about how the monitor fits into a real-world desk. The stand offers height, tilt, swivel, and pivot adjustments, so you can line the screen up perfectly whether you're sitting on a chair or perched on a drafting stool. The virtually borderless frame is thin enough that you could line it up with a second monitor for a multi-screen setup without feeling a visual break. The RGB lighting on the rear is subtle, it's more of an ambience touch than a distraction, and you can turn it off if you prefer a clean look for streaming. Who should consider buying this? If you're a competitive gamer who lives for hyped titles, values the fastest possible reaction time, and already own a graphics card that can push beyond 200 frames per second, the LG's 480Hz and near-zero latency will feel like a natural extension of your skill set. It also makes sense for creators who need accurate color and deep blacks for video editing or digital art. The OLED panel eliminates the washed-out look you sometimes get on VA panels. Finally, anyone who wants a monitor that doubles as a premium entertainment screen will appreciate the HDR performance for movies and series. Who should skip it? If you're on a tighter budget, the price point for a 27-inch OLED with these specs is steep compared to a high-refresh IPS panel that still delivers 144Hz and good color. Also, if your rig can't sustain more than 144 frames per second, you'll likely never tap into the 480Hz advantage, making the monitor's headline number more marketing than practical benefit. Users who are sensitive to OLED burn-in risk should also be cautious. Static UI elements like health bars or chat windows left on for extended periods can theoretically cause image retention, though LG includes pixel shift features to mitigate that. Practical strengths: I noticed after a week of use, the combination of ultra-fast refresh and OLED contrast creates a sweet spot for fast shooters. Enemies disappear almost before you finish pulling the trigger, which gives a tangible edge in twitch reflexes. The color accuracy held up under the built-in calibration test, so I didn't have to spend time tweaking the picture for design work. The ergonomic stand meant I could lower the monitor to eye level without straining my neck, something that matters during marathon sessions. On the flip side, the monitor's power draw is higher than a typical LCD, which can add a few dollars to your electricity bill if you leave it on for long stretches. The lack of a built-in USB-C hub means you'll need an extra dongle for a single cable connection to a laptop, which is a minor inconvenience but worth noting if you value a tidy desk. Finally, the HDR peak brightness, while respectable at 400 nits, isn't as bright as some dedicated HDR TVs, so in a sunlit room the punch might feel muted. A dimmer room will let the OLED truly shine. To sum up, the LG 27-inch OLED monitor lives up to its hype for the right audience. It isn't just a flashy spec sheet. The combination of blistering 480Hz, near-instant response, and cinema-grade color makes it a versatile tool for competitive gamers and visual creators alike. If you fall into the category of someone who can actually push high frame rates, values color accuracy, and wants a monitor that looks just as good for work as it does for play, the value is there. If you're budget conscious, have a mid-range GPU.